Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to T is for Transformation. I'm your host, Shaun T, and I'm just going to jump right into this today. So, first of all, this episode is going to be super fun because I'm responding to a lot of your concerns when it comes to life problems, life choices, and just needing to dig a little deeper in certain aspects of your life. But first, this is very important. We all know that we are in a world of social media where people just feel free to do and say what they want because they can hide. Most people say, oh, keyboard warriors, or they hide behind the keys, but they also hide behind the fact that they literally don't have any posts, don't have any followers, don't have anything. So there's these silent people that are literally on social media just to try and rock your world in a negative way. And so I was thinking, what if on social media they took comments away altogether and the like buttons away altogether, and all you could do was observe, right? Let's think about the psychology of people. There are a group of people out there that would observe and be like, oh my gosh, I really enjoy this person's content. That's great. There'll be psychology people out there that's like, I agree with some things people say and not, but this is still amazing. It's information because, as you know, with this dig even deeper portion of Tears for Transformation, I'm all about you not agreeing with everything I say. I think that would be super selfish and narcissistic of me if I came on here and I'm like, you have to agree with me. But I'm not like that. But there are a group of people that would leave social media because they can't get attention by being mean, bullying, rude, or whatever you call it. And so part of me is like, I really wish that we could remove commenting and likes because we would, as someone we all know says, drain the swamp. Okay? We'll drain the real swamp. So, I just want to put that out there for people who get really annoyed. And me, I get really annoyed. I'm going to tell you a story in a second. I get really annoyed at people for just popping off at the mouth when they literally have no internal or external education in what it is they're talking about, and all they want to do is judge. So just know that those people, the majority of people who say rude things, mean things, the majority of them have no posts, they have no followers or fake followers, no likes, and their profile is private. But with that said, I do want to comment on one thing because it was actually someone that follows me and seemingly has followed me for a while. So I posted something about my protein meal, and I forget how many grams of protein it was in there, but it was literally spot on. Like, we measured everything out. I have the nutrition facts for what I measured, and people out there who have known me for a while, I have zero reason to lie. There's no reason for me to lie about anything because, one, I don't give a fuck what you think of me, to be quite honest with you, because I'm living my life, and I'm not only am I living my life, I'm truly living my life in the most authentic way, simply because I don't believe that everyone should like me, and neither should you. You could be a fair person, a kind person, a positive person. You can be wealthy, or you could be perfect at your job. There's going to be someone that doesn't like you. So I don't roll into any life situation thinking that everyone's going to like me. I actually invite the people who don't like me, one, because I just think it would be really weird for me to expect people to like me, but two, it would also be really weird to just walk through life and think that I'm right all the time. However, when I post something on social media, if I'm talking politics or something where, I could have misunderstood something, or I was wrong about it, I would absolutely be the one to be like, yo, I was wrong about this, that, and the third. I have no problem being wrong. Zero problem being wrong. However, when I post something that is factual, and there was this comment thread of people being like, there's no way that would equal that much protein, or people are like, you should have fiber and you should have this. And then people think that I'm lying, which is annoying. So I commented to this person. I'm like, it's really interesting that I have a track record of helping change people's lives physically, mentally, and even when someone who's followed me seemingly for a long time will just take a post and be like, that doesn't equal that. Like, I'm trying to think why someone would have just assumed, one, that I'm lying, and two, that you're right when you don't have all the knowledge. And so I say all that to say, you're going to get frustrated with people. And this is not just social media. You're going to get frustrated with people in your life. And one, you're allowed to respond to them. You're allowed to let them have it. You don't have to bow down just because people see you as a nice person. Because I'm a really nice person. I'm really kind, but I'm also always ready to cuss somebody out. Like I'm 100% ready for that as well. And I think the point that I'm trying to get at here is, don't let the positivity, the smile, the love that I have for people, and the joy that I have for people get you confused with the fact that I will not take up for myself, my family, my friends, and other people. Don't get it twisted, and I don't want you to think that I'm like this perfect, saint of a person, because I literally will let you have it. So, I just wanted to get that out there, because I think that obviously a lot of people deal with it, but also, we're just in a world right now, even politically, where people just don't have brain cells, or they act like they don't, or they don't want to pay attention to real life, or they just don't want to be open to hearing what other people say. Like, I have friends that were completely opposites, like complete opposites. But one thing that I will do is I will sit there and I will listen and I will understand where you're coming from. And at the end of the conversation, even if I disagree with you, I know I can pat myself on the back, and I can pat them on the back too, because they were open-minded enough to have a conversation and listen. And then we could just decide what we want to do with that information, or whatever. But it starts to get rocky with humans in general, when disrespect comes into play. So just be respectful. And I will be the first one to tell you, and people will disagree, you don't always have to take the high road, because the high road will sometimes get you stomped on, believe it or not, even though it's above. So just learn to take up for yourself, please. All right. With that said, I'm going to jump into this episode a little bit more. So I asked for some subjects that people would love to hear about for this podcast and dig even deeper in your life. And so I'm actually going to read directly from the responses on Instagram, and I'm going to try to answer these questions pretty quickly so that you guys get a succinct answer. But I always have a story for something. So just settle in and get ready to transform your life. All right. So the first person says, caring for yourself through loss, grieving is a major loss, and the pain is suffocating. One of the things that is very important for us to understand when we're grieving, because I've had terrible grief for losing someone before, or people, is that the person that you're grieving is never coming back. And it is suffocating because you're missing something. Depending on the relationship that you have with that person, right? Like, especially if it was someone that's really close to you. And I'm not going to say mom, dad, because it could be your best friend. It could be, it could be a dog, like, I think that people separate the human and pet experience, right? This person or animal, whatever it is that you're grieving, they're not coming back. So you are going to feel suffocated. And just like fitness, it's very important for you to know that your grief is your journey. There's no reason for you to put a timeline on when you should, quote unquote, get over something, because you're never going to get over it. I still, to this day, when I record my workouts, live events, the last person that I personally pray to, people, is my grandmother and grandfather. If you ever see me on set, I turn around and I look up and they're with me. And it makes me happy, but it also makes me really sad because they literally saved my life. I still get a little teared up thinking about it. So it is suffocating. Obviously, grief counseling, a lot of that works, but it's also a lot of internal work that you have to do. And the last thing I say to not drag this out is one of my really good friends' boyfriend told me once, we were out to dinner, and he told me, you know, when it comes to either your passing or people around you passing, is focus on the legacy, right? Like, how did that person impact you in a positive way? It's not going to take away the negative feelings that you have for someone, or, like I said, a pet or something being gone, but how did they impact you in a positive way? And what's the legacy? And I actually told someone this on one of my calls the other day from my Transform and Thrive group, because I'm doing a 10-week transformation program right now. And I told them to watch the movie Collateral Beauty by Will Smith, because it is incredibly powerful. I could watch that movie 3 times in a row. I actually want to learn the opening dialogue to that movie because it is so incredibly powerful and it just makes you think. And it's written in a way that an 8th grader could understand, and it's shot and the scenes are in a way that keeps you, I don't even want to use the word captivated, but one of the tools that they use in a movie is dominoes. And if you think about the symbolism of that, whenever you see a video of someone that creates this magnificent, very intricate domino journey, I don't even actually know what they call it, you will watch it to the end. It's almost like this other Instagram account that I've seen before where the person has this ball going down and it's playing music to really popular songs, and you're like, I need to watch it. And before you know it, you've watched it 3 times. And so going back to the movie Collateral Beauty, it's incredible because they take you through a journey that the movie is symbolic with the dominoes, because you don't want to stop watching that movie until you understand like how it affects people at the end. So I would just encourage you to try and watch that movie because it's really incredible. Oh, someone said, I love your positive energy. Thanks. I kind of talked about this at the beginning. I wake up, I'm so excited to wake up and go to bed. I wake up, the first thing I do is I visualize what I want my day to be like. I am so excited, even if I'm super tired, I'm so excited to go out, have my first sip of coffee, to go in my kids' room and just like look at them before they wake up. Even though with Sander, like he hears me come in and he pops his head up, and it's the most beautiful emotional feeling. And they both come out, they give me hugs. And then Scott comes out and the first thing he does is he gives me a kiss. It's just amazing. Even when things aren't going well, if I'm really stressed, that is how I start my day off. So I would encourage you to try and stay as positive as possible, because there's toxic positivity. Like, you can't ignore real life situations. You just shouldn't do it. Real life situations that make you feel bad, don't do that. But if you start off your day and you have some sort of ritual where at least you can put yourself in the best headspace possible, it's going to help your day. And I always give my mom props for her. I definitely have her personality. I've never met my biological father. I think it'd be really interesting to meet him, but I don't know, just because I don't know like where his headspace is. But to be able to have this energy and this positivity and the excitement that I possess in life, like I really, while I've built my life and I'm almost 47 years old, I know I've done a lot. I think it's definitely genetic. Like my DNA from my mother, like who, goes through a lot. She's older now, but you call her on the phone and she is like upbeat and ready to go. So that's where I get my positive energy from. And I hope that, you can take some of that and put some positive energy into your life, especially at the start of the day. And then I end the day as I'm falling asleep. I hold Scott's hand, even if it's for like, a couple minutes before we, start moving around to get comfortable. It's like, it's the absolute best. So, sandwich your day with positivity, as positive as you can get it. And I think you too can live in that space. Someone says balancing parenting, partnership, and your individual life. This is a really great subject. Probably can do an entire podcast on it, but I will say this for now. Scott and I have the most, in my opinion, you can ask him, but I mean, I'm with him all the time. We have such an exciting life, and it is built around supporting each other's life experience and personal growth. We are big believers, and I think I'm definitely the catalyst to our relationship being like this, and had to like bring him along because he is somewhat, it was somewhat super traditional, and he is a creature of habit. And I think that a lot of relationships are just that. It's like wake up, go to work, come home, and you have to follow this plan that your family dynamic has, when the family dynamic is its own plan. And so me and Scott have a partnership that is built around honesty, friendship, passion, excitement, and support. And then that brings us together enough to be able to raise our kids in a way that does the same for them and supports them and helps us have our family dynamic with them, but also our individual relationships with our kids. Like if you see us individually with them, it is a completely different dynamic. Like Silas and I have a completely different relationship than Sandra and I have. And it's really cool to be able to separate that. And then as we're all together, that's another thing. But when it comes to individual, Scott and I, we are like, you need to go live your best life right now, and you need to go live your best life without me or the kids. I think it was last year or the year before, I sent him to Europe for 11 days. I'm like, go away for 2 days every couple months. I even give my employees 2 mental health days a quarter, meaning take off 2 days, have a 4-day weekend, whether it's a Friday and a Monday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so that you can find your individual internal self. Like, what is it that you want to do? I believe, for me, and not everyone's like this, I believe that you should grow individually together, because I don't think that we were born to compromise our life's path. I believe that we were born to grow into this incredible tree of greatness with a bunch of different leaves that are like floating in different places. And I believe that this is just my opinion. And again, I'm so welcoming to disagreement, but I just really think that people fall into this trap that like, I married this person or I'm with this person and that is the end of my life. And I just don't believe that to be true. I would much rather have such an incredible partner that is like, you want to experience that? Not only do I want you to experience that, I am going to literally support that. How can I help? We're going to Europe for my one final hurrah before I go into my bodybuilding season. You're probably watching this after. And, I said to Scott, I was like, oh my gosh, like I met a dancer guy on TikTok, and there's a gym I want to go to because, I love meeting people. I love meeting people. I will go anywhere. I'm like, if I meet you on Instagram and somehow we hit it off, I'm like, where you live? So like, we're going to Europe. Scott is going right to London. And I was like, I'm going to Amsterdam for 2 days because there's a friend that I made that I want to go to the gym with. We're going to have fun. And then there's a friend that I made that we're just going to dance. We're going to just do hopefully like 3 or 4 TikToks and dance reels. And Scott was like, I'm booking the ticket. What hotel do you want? This is what it looks like. And he knows I'm kind of bougie like that. Like I like to feel a little, important. I'm like, if I'm spending money to go somewhere, I want to feel like that. And he knows it. And he's like, all right, this is the best experience. I'm going to help you have the best experience. And do we have conversations of like, oh, well, should I go? Or like, am I feeling insecure about you going? And we have those conversations. And we're never like, he's never, and I'm never like, no. I'm like, no, if you want to come. And then he's like, but I'm just going because I want to be with you, which is not a negative thing. But he's like, you know what? Let me go relax myself. Now, there are a lot of people that's like, oh my God, you guys are going to go to two different places? Yeah, for 36 hours, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to go meet them in London and we're going to have a good time. That's just kind of how we do it. And we balance our life, and it's a very work-life balance. And if I travel, if I'm on an extended travel stint, when I come back, I'm always like, what do you need to do? Where do you want to go? You've had the kids, you're managing a company. What do you need? And whatever he says he needs for his own personal time, I'm like, go for it. And I support it. And the last thing I'll say is the balance is this. If you're not a part of it, you're not a part of it. Does that make sense? So I want to be a part of my partner's and my kids' life balance. I don't want to be like, well, I don't want you to do that and have a negative energy towards something that makes them happy. If I'm insecure about it, or if I'm not happy about it, it's a conversation, and then we dive to where does that feeling come from? And I would say 100% of the time we work through it, and it comes from somewhere else, or it's that we want to, like, well, I really want to spend time with you, and all right, how can we manage this? But I never want to be the spouse, nor do I want him to be the spouse, nor do I want to be the dad that's like, I don't want you to do that. No, if you want to do it, we need to figure out how we can do it that it's supportive and safe and fun and exciting and X, Y, and Z. So that's how we balance work, because I put that into my employees as well. My team, I don't like calling them my employees. You need to have your time. The last thing I'll say is Scott and I have zero secrets. We are not allowed to have secrets, even if it's hurtful, or you have something that you've been wanting to say that's like it's nope, doesn't matter. And our relationship is as is only as perfect as we can make it, but we still have disagreements, arguments, the same as everyone else. I think it's really interesting how people get surprised when they see, I'm not saying that I'm a celebrity, but people in the public eye, like, oh, like the tabloids are saying that such and such and such and such. I'm like, they're human, just like you. You do it too, And even the relationships from on the outside that seem so perfect, they're only perfect if they're communicating and working through it. But the perfection is in the excitement and the tough times, right? And so the goal is, and Scott and I talk about this all the time, the goal is for when we're sitting around a table and I'm 74 and he's 80, because he's like 6 years older than me, for us to be like, yo, do you remember when? Because we'll always say, when we're 80, are we going to be mad that we didn't let the other person experience that? Like when we might be, doing fun things or whatever, but we're young and like, we're like, no, I don't want to be 80 years old sitting at the table like, I really wish I would have supported you doing this. No, you're going to do it and we'll figure it out. And if it was the wrong decision, we'll just work through the wrong decision. Next one, this is a good one. Staying consistent on becoming a healthier you. I've said this before, so it might sound like a broken record, but you have to want to change more than you want to remain the same. And that is it. The problem arises when you want perfection and when you want perfection fast. And when I say perfection, it's not about the perfect body. The problem arises when you want perfection of what you see in someone else or someone else's body or someone else's life. Like, they meal prep, they do this. You have to find the steps, because you can't get to the top floor on a building without an elevator, without climbing the steps, or some people climb buildings, but you just can't get there. So you have to take the steps to be consistent. Consistency doesn't happen overnight. And, hopefully I do another Transform and Thrive 10-week program. You'll learn it's behavior change. One of my favorite classes, I should say, when I went to college was human behavior. I'm like obsessed, because everyone thinks that, like it's so easy to go to the gym or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, guess what? Everything you need to know, you can find on Chat GPT at this point, or Google. You can find it. You can develop the healthiest meal for your height, your weight, your body. You can find your macros. You can get the best workout. Workouts are at the tip of your fingertips. You can go on YouTube. You don't even got to pay. You don't even got to pay for workouts. You can go outside and run, walk. You can find out everything that you need to do. Put it on a calendar. It's right in front of you. That will help you be successful. You can go to the doctor to make sure you don't have any underlying disorders that's stopping you from getting fit, gaining muscle, losing weight. You can do it all. But the reason why people aren't consistent is because they don't have the behaviors to be consistent. And so what happens is people try to rush into whatever it is. They try to rush into fitness. They try to rush into dieting. They try to rush into mental health. I actually had a conversation with someone yesterday when I was traveling, and people go to a mental health therapist 2 times and they're like, oh yeah, I found out this, and they're done. I'm like, you ain't done. You're not done. I've been going to therapy since I was 27. Not to say that you have the same issues as me, but I'm never done. I'm like, listen, there's a lot going on up here and I need to figure it out. So the only way for me to not only get there, but to sustain those good results is to keep working at it. And the last thing I'll say when it comes to consistency and health, it's not about getting to the finish line. It's about managing what you want to sustain. And oftentimes we say sustainability, but how do you manage that? Exactly what I said before. If you have the building blocks of having solidified the behaviors, you can sustain it once you reach whatever your goal is. All right, I'm gonna do one more because I have a lot here, and I really believe that I can do this again. So the last one that I'm going to talk about today, let me get a good one. How do you know when to let go? If it's not working, why do we stay? How do you put yourself first? Ooh. Let's tackle the first thing first, which is how to put yourself first. So first of all, I don't know anybody that enters a competition that is going in the competition for second place. Like, even if I step on the line and I know that someone's faster, or if I get on the bodybuilding stage and I know that I'm up against the reigning champ, there's still no way I'm walking up on the stage to be second place. And it's really not about like competing to win. It's about being the best that you can be. And here's a ticket. And a lot of people will disagree with me. If you're not putting yourself first, I don't care if you have a husband, wife, kids, a really demanding job, people look at putting themselves first as like selfish. And when you start to do something where you put yourself second and you let everyone go, I believe that a lot of people lose a part of themselves and they fall into this trap of like, all right, I'm putting myself second. And that's not what the race of life is about. It's about how can I be the best that I can be? And I don't think you can be the best that you can be if you're constantly putting yourself in second place. And I know there are a lot of people out there that's like, well, I want to serve people. And it sounds like they're putting themselves second, but they're not. They get a good feeling, because this is the difference for people who are like, oh, I'm going to put other people first, that have that desire, whether it be religious or philanthropic things. There's still a feeling that they're getting that's making them feel good to thrive in that space. So even people who are like, oh, I'm putting everybody first, like they're getting something from that. But if you're a person who's putting everyone first and you're exhausted, like, yeah, if you don't have a lot of money and there's only a little bit of food left, are you going to give it to your children first? Absolutely. But you're putting yourself first as being a good parent. Do you understand? But it comes down to, if you're putting everyone else first and you're losing and you're feeling less energy and you're feeling stress and then you start to get mad about it, you can't love someone and and expect the same in return. I feel like you have to give without expectations. And a lot of people will disagree with that because they're like, well, if I'm in love, I want somebody to reciprocate it. Well, maybe you can love them. They're just not that person for you to reciprocate, but it's still good to love. It's still good to give without expecting something in return. So the second thing, how do you know when to let go? When something's not serving you. There's one thing to fight for something that you know is right and you know is good for everyone or everything involved. But like in a relationship, if you're giving in this relationship and you're not getting anything from it, good on you. Can congratulate yourself for giving. And this is not contradict what I said earlier, which I said you should give without expecting. The thing is, if it's naturally given back to you, then you know it's right for you. But if I give and I don't get anything back from a friend or whatever, I'm like, oh, I'm not mad, but I can move on. I could be like, all right, this relationship isn't serving me, but the serving that I've done doesn't go in vain. Does that make sense? So letting go is when you know, one, I'm going to assume we're talking about someone else, but letting go is when it's not serving you or it's affecting, I don't even want to say mental health, it's affecting your everyday life. If you're thinking about something too much, too long, you're stressed out, it's not serving you, whether it's a person, you've spoken to people and they're not returning what it is that you need to stay in this partnership or friendship or job, it's time to go. And that's okay. I tell people all the time that work for me, I'm like, listen, I'm only one person and my business is this. If you need to move on or go work somewhere else, I've never been mad at someone for being like, I gotta go. Like I've had plenty of people that work with me that they're doing something else. I'm like, cool. Whether they enjoyed the experience or not, I know I did the best that I can do, and I know I supported them as they move forward in their life. So there's that. And then the last thing says, you said if it's not working, why do we stay? You're staying because of hope. And sometimes people stay in situations that they don't want to be in because of embarrassment, because they have to explain that this didn't work out to other people. Because think about it, if you could walk away from something and you really didn't have to answer to anyone, you'd be like, I'm done. Like, I'm good. If you're that kind of person who's worried about what other people are going to say. And my thought is we should live our lives like that anyway, especially if you've given everything you got, to be like, all right, if this is it and I've done everything I can and this person or this situation is not serving me, it's time to go. And it's okay. And when people, I've said this before, but if someone comes up to me and they say, my girlfriend broke up with me or my boyfriend broke up with me, my first response is congratulations. Because even if y'all get together next week, then guess what? At least you don't have to waste your time being with someone that doesn't want to be with you. It's a really hard pill to swallow and it's really tough and it's going to be an emotional journey. You're going to feel that suffer of loss, especially if you're the person that wanted to stay in this relationship or whatever. But at the end of the day, when that passes, you are going to thrive, because there are a lot of people out there right now that are in relationships and marriages that they are just day in, day out, and they go home and they're like, I don't want to do this, but I'm doing this because for different reasons. Some people stay in relationships because of their kids. Some people stay in a relationship because of money. Some people stay in a relationship, like I said before, because of outside sources and what are people going to think of us. But the liberation after you go through that transitional phase, that transformation of going from being with to being by yourself, and you can reflect on the lessons that you learn, you also start to realize what you don't want to do again. And with that said, we're going to do this again, but not right now. We're going to do this again. Make sure you guys please continue to listen in. And also, I would love if you left a review for T is for Transformation. I would appreciate it. And please tag T is for Transformation in your stories. If you listen to it or you have a favorite part, just kind of let us know what you love, and we can talk more about. But with that said, continue to dig deeper in your life, and always, like I used to say, trust and believe. Peace out.